we've also never had a place to keep all of the cars all under one roof, all at the same time. Until now. How's it up there, Yorkie? Is it all right?
Well, you wobble it.
It's quite cool. Right, from a thumbnail point of view then, it's the biggest pain of YouTube. It's like the entire thing, frankly, revolves around what you'll click on. So we have to make things look cool. So, where do you want me stood? About here? That's going to look quite cool, isn't it? That's too high, man. Something about that noise feels like some comedy sketch. We're going to just take that box out of the back so it doesn't ruin the shot. I mean, we could easily Photoshop it out, but I'm going to make Cameron work for it. Yeah, that works. Perfect. That's really good. Is there any chance of taking the thing out of it that sticks up? I feel like such a diva up here. So you just move the box, yeah? Where's my runner? I need an iced coffee. That is quite a good two-car garage.
Yeah, the guy's actually got that and an R6.
Has he?
Yeah.
Even better two-car garage. Do you know Audi are going to have to really step it up next gen? Like, think of what Audi are going to need to do to out M3, the M3 Touring.
Yeah. I'm on the outside there.
Okay, I've just remembered something.
What?
I need to be in this photograph. Yorkie needs to come up because he'll know how to frame it up. Come on, Yorkie, get in here. Mate, the other day we flew halfway around the world to Napa Valley and he wouldn't get in our air balloon, so he's damn for sure getting up in this scissor lift.
Unbelievable. Right, let's go. No one booked it. I would have done it. No.
I think David Green went up in one.
I would have done it.
The fall on makeup. Exceptional vlog content. Right, do you want to shoot it on this?
Taking his freaking mic off.
Here you go. Have you? Ah, oh, we were doing the uncut, man.
Chuck me the mic.
I'll check you the mic. You can't honestly be scared about this situation. I'm more concerned about it falling on that Lambo than Yorkie falling out.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good day.
He reckons it looks better with the door down. Because it is kind of mysterious now as to what's behind this door. So really, really looking forward to getting this place all fitted out. If you've been following the channel for a while, like within the last 3 years, the main channel that is, not the uncut that you're watching now, we had a place called The Bunker, which was kind of a proof of concept really. And I think probably quite rightly from your point of view, from the audience's point of view, there was definitely an interpretation that it was perhaps a garage. But its original purpose was actually a film studio. It was only ever designed to sort of house maybe 2 cars, certainly 1 car, but its main purpose was to film 1 car at one time. And what would happen was I'd keep a car there, and then a brand would have a car there for filming, and then we'd keep another car there, and then before that brand picked up their car, another brand would drop a car off for filming, and before we knew it, we just ran out of space. So we knew as a concept having our own space was really cool from a filming point of view. And once this is all up and running again, that space there, I mean, it's really dirty right now, but all of that space there is going to be a studio for filming. And there's the old turntable look from Bunker 1.0. The idea is once that's all back online, we want to reintroduce the Modern Classic series because we needed a great space to do walk and talks. And truth be told, for the majority of the rest of this year, we're not actually here that much, lots of traveling. But we've also never had a place to keep all of the cars all under one roof, all at the same time. Until now. Now, typically, the first time that I'm introducing this space on camera, or at least on the Uncut channel, over half of the cars are away. So JWW cars, we've got 14 cars. I think there's 6 here right now. So I'll introduce you to the ones which are here, but over half of the cars are away for various different projects and updates. So this is our Pocket Rocket GR Yaris. This has recently been to a wonderful company called String Theory, who has done several upgrades to it. Basically designed now to be a wet weapon warrior on the Nürburgring. So if it rains, this is the ultimate Nürburgring car. I say that, Ben and I from String Theory tucked this out on the ring, in the dry, on fresh Cup 2s. Unbelievable machine. The way it picks apart the Nürburgring for its value and its power is ridiculous. It's now running with an ITG air filter and a tune which is proprietary to String Theory, around about 310, 315 horsepower. New seats. Let's see if we can get this out here. New seats. These are String Theory's own seats, which have been developed and trimmed by them. The biggest change by far is the seating position. Anyone familiar with a Yaris on standard seats, it's like sort of sitting in a chair rather than sitting in a seat. And this now, bucket seat wise, game changer. The next biggest upgrade is the brakes. So we've upgraded to Tarox brakes, new pads, new fluids, new lines, and something that Ben from String Theory integrated into it, which is a ceramic plate that sits between the brake pistons and the pads themselves in order to absorb extra heat to keep those fluids and lines, and ultimately the thermal capacity of the overall brake disc and pad a little bit more optimized. On the ring, unbelievable. In the wet, even more impressive. And that is a proper daily driver. It's not just me that uses it. We've got our bunker group team in and out of it quite often, but really it is at home, either on a B road or on the Nürburgring. String Theory also applied their own, when I say their own, they're literally their own branded IBAC springs, and it rides incredibly well too. But the way it rides the big curbs at the Nürburgring, honestly, still one of my favorite cars in here. Super, super cool. DBS, Aston Martin. This is a 2008 manual V12. The significance of this is it's one of my all-time favorite Aston Martins because it's naturally aspirated, manual V12, made famous with its debut on Casino Royale. When I saw that car on screen, my jaw just dropped. It was always one of the most aesthetically pleasing Aston Martins, and I think it's aged incredibly well. But what we had the pleasure of doing a couple of years ago now, we worked very closely with Aston Martin to launch a limited edition DBX, the SUV. And as part of that, we developed a sort of antique vintage looking badge, matching accessories, and a special paint. Now this paint is called Lennox Green. We developed this over a 6-month period with Aston Martin. It's exclusive to us. Customers can apply to order it, but ultimately Aston Martin quite literally phoned me and said, we've got this client in this country looking to apply Lennox Green to this car. Is that okay? Is that okay? And generally, we end up having them on, well, we've now got Lennox Green on 2 Valkyries and a Speedster, several DBX, and another special car coming through soon. So real special car, close to my heart, but as a project, this is a really special one of one. Custom wheels. These are actually hand painted. Far away they look diamond turned, but each of these, this sort of bronzy gold accenting, this is all hand painted on the wheel. Matching calipers. Yeah, I just absolutely love this thing. The project with Aston Martin Works, who did the restoration, has been amazing. Look, matching sort of coach line on the leading edge of this strake here. And towards the end of this year, part 2 is taking place. So stay tuned for that, because we're about to enhance it even further. Then we've got, on the pure organic drivers theme, the Porsche 997 GT3 RS Gen 2 4 litre. This here. That's the important bit. So effectively, this is the very last of the Mezger engines. It's the last of the 997 platform, and it was celebrated by the team at Weissach with a 4 litre celebration. Now, the previous car to this was a 3.8 Gen 2 RS, phenomenal car, but they ended up using the remaining componentry that they had left in the parts bins, which restricted them to only making 600 cars. That wasn't a figure that they just went, let's do 600. It was literally the componentry that they had left to them, including the engine. Solid mounted rose joints, bigger wing, more aggressive angle of attack, super soft, flexi Lexan windows. These aren't glass. The glass that is in this car is extra lightweight, very little sound deadening. It is raw, pure, proper driver's car, and a very special car in the collection once again. Never thought I'd own one of those. So every time I walk in here and see that, I'm just like, as if that's a thing. Truthfully, we haven't done anywhere near enough with this car on the channel. So comments below. If you want to see some RS4 Lita content, let me know. Come up with some ideas. If there's some good ones, we'll do it. Speaking of good ones, and on the 4 Lita thing, this is the GT4 RS, obviously a much more contemporary car versus the 997 next to it. This is being painted by Logic in a Lamborghini paint. So this paint is called Viola Parsafe, and you can think of this as an optional paint that isn't on the options list from Lamborghini. So it's an ad personam paint, which means it's a sort of extra, optional extra. You have to go through their sort of custom range to achieve it. And obviously it's not available on a Porsche. But Logic, being Logic, is able to create any paint they want, and they have applied it to this car for us. We are obviously indoors now and we don't have direct sunlight on it, but when this thing is outside, the pop is unbelievable. It's got the most incredible fleck. On the unbelievable theme, the way this thing sounds, it feels like a swan song car. I'm not sure if the next time they get around to considering a similar format to this, as in the next generation GT4 RS, if they'll be able to run a non-hybrid assist or even turbocharged engine. We're pretty sure that the next Cayman platform is probably going to be majoritively electric, if not hybrid options. So this thing has a 992 generation GT3 engine inside here, which is the stuff of dreams, because the chassis, the overall platform of a GT4 is phenomenal, but it was always the engine that didn't quite have the full fat GT experience. This has got a full fat GT3 engine in it, but the unique proposition here, is it open? Yes. The unique proposition here is there is no conventional bulkhead between you and the engine. So the engine, if you want to, when you're sitting in the seat, you can reach around and touch the top of the engine. So you can imagine what that sounds like. On top of these carbon air intakes come directly in the cabin there. That is a literal other side of that air intake. Feeds the engine directly behind your ears. It is one of the most sonorously superior experiences in the modern day automotive world. The sound is berserk. So we're really honored to have that. Once again, for me, it should live at the Nürburgring. It might be a little bit too stiff for the road on the ring, but right up to pace. Switches on big time. Speaking of pace, this thing. So also really, really honored and blown away to be able to add a Senna to the garage. Now, we haven't actually long had this back in the UK. It lived out in the Middle East for about 8 months, where it basically spent its time hopping between Dubai Autodrome and Yas Marina, which is kind of where this thing's made for, really. Despite the fact that it has number plates, it is so intense and so hardcore that when you experience it on track, you realize you can't get anywhere near its performance on the road. Not only because it's really, really fast, but because the only time that a Senna for me becomes a Senna is when you put it into race mode. Let me see if I can show you this here. So race mode in a Senna is up here, right on the roofline there. See that? So race mode there, when I say it transforms the car, in the UK anyway, and certainly on my insurance policy, technically if I put it into race mode, it invalidates my insurance. And you might be thinking, oh, well that sucks, but it's actually a testament to just how much it transforms the car. Most times you press a sport button or a race button in a supercar or a sports car, it just sort of makes it sound a bit better or increases the throttle response. This drops so severely that there is basically no arch gap between wheel and arch here, or shall I say tire and arch. These almost recess just tucked underneath there, and that's because a good majority of the downforce of a Senna is ground effect, and the only reason that ground effect switches on is if it is, as the name would suggest, close to the ground. So they have to slam it right down in order to make that work. At that point, it's not making it over any speed bumps. You want to stay away from curbs, even on some race circuits. Definitely if you were to run it in race mode on the Nürburgring, you would not want to hit a lot of those curves. It is so low. So that's when this thing becomes super special, and that's why it spent so long out in the Middle East, because we were just bouncing around tracks. Then it became winter and there wasn't a great deal of point of bringing it home, but this summer we've had it back. We've had it out on Silverstone. If you're not tuned into the main channel right now, you can join me in this absolutely sending it around Silverstone, which is literally the home of this brand. So that's where this thing switches on. Full FIA grade, billiard smooth tarmac, designed for very, very fast cars. That's when this thing switches on. Options, kind of heavy on the options. It even has carbon fiber green seats, which is distinctly an MSO option. If you're wondering what MSO means, it's short for McLaren Special Operations, and they do options which aren't on the options list, like a tinted carbon fiber green steering wheel, sir, and applying the Ayrton Senna iconic signature to the carbon fiber sill and tinting all of the exterior carbon fiber green. That's what MSO stands for. That's what they do. Once it's left the McLaren production line, it gets handed over to MSO, and they make it look all sort of posh and fancy like this. And then they even apply really subtle details there. Look, that S, that sweeping S for Senna, that's not a sticker. That is actually a satin change of coat, of clear coat. So it goes from gloss to satin and back to gloss to sort of mask out that sweeping Senna S. Darren has brought down his Pagani Huayra. It was recently at a show in London, and it's just been kept here since. And I'm pretty happy about that. It makes the place look good. We also have a Volkswagen XL1. There was only 200 of these made. It's not technically right. There was 250 of these made, but Volkswagen Group retained 50 of them for sort of posterity and R&D and to keep in museums, etc. But on the road legal, there was 200 of them made. And the reason that this car exists is that there was the group CEO at the time of the Volkswagen Audi group was an impactful man called Ferdinand Piëch, and he commissioned the Bugatti Veyron and he commissioned this car. And the idea at that time was for Volkswagen to display their best engineering at opposite ends of the spectrum. So when they commissioned the Veyron, it was all about the world's fastest car that had to adhere to Volkswagen Audi Group standards. So the Veyron is able to achieve over 250 miles an hour, but still be scrutinized to the same driving daily standards as a Volkswagen Golf, which is an incredible feat of engineering, and it was a complete game changer at that time to now uphold current hypercars to a standard that previously didn't exist. That was a game-changing car. And equally, on the other end of that spectrum, he also commissioned this, the Volkswagen XL1. And when I say at the other end of the spectrum, where the Veyron was designed to maximize this ultimate top speed, this is designed to maximize the ultimate fuel efficiency. As a result, it's capable of over 300 miles per gallon. You heard that right. Google it. Volkswagen XL1 MPG. The thing is unbelievable. I think it is still the world's slipperiest car. What I mean by that is it still has the lowest drag coefficient of any road legal production car. Because considering this was around about a 2011 car, that's pretty substantial achievement. My favorite thing about it all, though, is the engineering and how they reached this design. So if you were to read the specs of this car on paper, engine aside, it's the closest I've seen to a McLaren Speedtail in that it has cameras for wing mirrors, it has magnesium wheels, it has a twin clutch box, it is a mid-rear engined hybrid. The entire car is made out of carbon fiber. The tub itself, the whole thing is carbon. It has doors very akin to a Speedtail, but also windows very akin to a McLaren F1. It has offset seating, which allows the passenger's shoulders to sit behind the driver's shoulders, which allows them to shrink the width of the fundamental chassis itself, reducing the overall frontal width to help it be as slippery as it can through the air. The only difference is in the back here. When I say the only difference, that's a 74 horsepower, 2-cylinder diesel hybrid. so yeah, lots of carbon, but that's kind of where the similarities between the Speedtail end. So, but I just found it incredibly fascinating that in order to achieve the most fuel-efficient car, it follows very similar principles to some of the very world's fastest cars. Bit of a curveball in the collection, but I'm a bit of a nerd for it, always have been. I love its styling. We're very fortunate on the channel and in the garage to drive some of the most incredible cars around the world, and this thing turns heads like a Koenigsegg. Absolutely berserk. So yeah, that's just a few of the cars. When we get all of them back, we'll do another walk and talk. But I just thought, considering we've got several thousand of you who, thank you so much, have joined the Uncut channel, I thought it'd be great to do a really sort of informal, candid walk around the garage. You're also probably wondering what that is and why I'm not speaking about it. In group, we have a company called JE Engineering, who are resto mod specialists of Defenders. You can kind of think of it as if Singer went into making Defenders. They're super, super cool. That's in here to have some customization at Logic. And we've just said, look, our cars are out of the building right now. You can store it here until it's done. So lots of cool things taking place right now. Very, very, very excited for the next few months ahead, because we've got some projects which have been in the works for over 2 years that will be launched in Q4, and they are like next level, ridiculously crazy. So that I'm excited to show you. They will launch first over on the main channel, and then no doubt we'll be bringing you along for the behind the scenes of that stuff. But to be here today, the reason we're here is we're filming the introduction to new Logic. This is honestly, I mean, look, on the main channel, we sort of do progress updates, but we've been in here for weeks now, and the fit out, the things you don't even think about, like, take for example these blue pipes up here. This is all the air we need, all of the air lines, all of the electricity, everything that we need in order to make the process possible here. None of this is in. It's small things, internet, routers, here's the airlines, electric points, CCTV. This whole place is dripping in CCTV. The wiring for this. So these are all of the things that, frankly, I wish I'd have started the behind the scenes channel sooner, so I could have shown you the amount of work that went into just even like painting the floor. This floor, you can't really see it right now, it's a little bit dusty, but this is a floor that we took weeks over, getting the right shade. It's not quite black, it's not quite grey, but we knew when we had cars on it that we wanted the colour of it, once it's mopped and clean, we wanted the colour of these cars to really pop off this floor, but also we wanted grip and texture in there. So these little balls of grit, they're actually ball bearings of glass, sort of subtle tiny shards of glass that are mixed in to this mixture. It has a sort of very slightly rubberized feel to it. So all of the details that we've sort of poured weeks and months into are all very slowly starting to come together. And frankly, it's just got to a position now where it's presentable enough to be on camera, because we didn't want to suggest that we were having cars in here when it was a building site. And so it's only been the last few weeks that we've been able to bring cars in here. We've had some fantastic customers who have been very patient with us while we've got this new place up and running. We've said, look, trust us, it's going to be worth it. We're having several new paint booths installed, and the expansion is super exciting. So thank you to you guys for joining us for that journey. Once again, I'm sure there's plenty of you who have only discovered the Uncut channel. Go and check out the main channel. It's just called Mr. JWW. We've been doing that for a few years, and there's some all sorts of cool stuff on there. But being truly transparent, this channel, it's really liberating. Just being able to share whatever we want, whenever we want, on whatever topic. That's really cool, because we see all sorts of cool stuff. We're really, really fortunate that in this line of work, we travel a lot, we get to do some really cool stuff with some cool brands and some great people, and oftentimes it goes unshared. So that's what it's all about. That was a quick walk and talk of Logic, and see you next time.